Okay, good morning. So in 5 minutes we'll have Darshan coming here. So there has been a delay. So today we'll be just giving you an idea about PSIR optional, like what is there in the syllabus, what to expect. And one of the reason why I had invited Darshan HV was that he was a person who studied the subject in 3 months and he was able to score 281 and he got rank 47 in 2015. So, how can one study a subject in 3 months or 4 months, and how can you score high marks? So, again, it depends upon person to person. So, it doesn't mean that any optional you take, uh, you are not going to score marks because of the optional subject. You are going to score marks because of your expertise in that optional subject. So, general tendency what people have is that, so which optional subject if it select will score high marks. So it's not based on which optional subject you select, but how do you perform in that optional subject that is going to score marks. So it does not mean that let us take there are 99 people who are scoring 300 in a particular optional subject, and you also take that optional subject. Does not mean automatically you will also score 300. It depends upon your understanding, your interest, and what is the guidance available. So regarding political science and international relations, PSIR. So it has two aspects. One is political science, the other is international relations. Now, if you have gone through the syllabus beforehand, the syllabus might look huge, right? It's very lengthy. You can how we complete the syllabus. And if you look at some other optional syllabus, you can see it is very small. We can easily cover that very not. So that is not the right way to go about based on the size of the syllabus. Because some optionals they will give in detail. Some optionals it will be what we can say hidden syllabus. Hidden syllabus in that once you start reading it, now that is going to expand. Second thing is that your optional subject, second thing is you will also have to not look at only reading point of view. You also have to look at the point of view of writing. What do you mean by writing? So obviously, how do you write? That is how marks are awarded. Marks are not awarded based on how you speak. Simple now. Mains exam optional carries 500 marks. So how much you score in out of that 500 marks is dependent upon how well you write. It is not how well you speak or how well you know the concept or do you know everything about it. And second one, you can say that optional selection is that I love this optional. That is why I like that subject very much. So you can say that liking, loving is something different. Many times you might love a person, but that person might not respond back if you don't understand that person. Same way here also, just because you love that subject does not mean that subject will give you marks. Unless you have understood the subject and unless you have invested energy on that subject. And more importantly, that is what we say, understand the demand of the exam, not just the what you can say knowledge part. So what many people think is that okay, we are not from political science background, maybe from engineering background, maybe from commerce background. Can we take an subject which is oriented towards social science? So here it again depends upon nobody is asking you to become an expert in political science. They are asking you to write for 500 marks with a basic understanding. So in UPC generally we say it is jack of all, master of none. Means you don't need to be an expert in any subject, but you have to know some basics about that particular subject. And the best way to understand any subject will be through what? How the best way you can understand? So I think some of you, I think your GS classes have started, right? I think economic classes is going on for some, and for some political classes happened. So how do you best understand a subject? What is the best way to understand a subject? How do you know what is important? Okay, how do you understand that? So basically it is the previous year questions. If you see the previous year questions, you will get an idea that how questions will be asked in the exam. So before you start preparation of any subject, it's not which book you start with. You start with okay, what are the previous year questions that they have asked? Okay, how the questions are oriented. Second one, okay, to answer these kind of questions, okay, what is the content that I'll require? Okay. If you see most of the UPSC questions, whether optional subject or any optional subject or including GS subject, what is one difference between prelims and mains? What is the basic difference between prelims and mains? Answer. Okay, that's a more of a crude way of saying answer writing is that this I'm going to mark. ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಹುಡುಕ್ಬೇಕಷ್ಟೇ. ಹಾಂ, ಸೊ ಹೇಗೆ ಹುಡುಕ್ತೀರಾ? See, the simple thing is that prelims is objective, mains is subjective, a basic level of concrete understanding. What do you mean by it is objective, this is subjective? Objective means obviously one statement has to be correct. So objective deals with true or false. Either the statement has to be true or either the statement has to be false. There is no two ways to it. What do you mean by subjective? Subjective is something good or bad. So what is good for you can be bad for others. What is bad for you can be good for others. So most of the mains questions in UPSC are subjective. For example, they might ask, do you think India needs a uniform civil code? So you don't have an answer yes or no here. Obviously, I have to tell what is uniform civil code, why there is a need of uniform civil code, what are the challenges in bringing uniform civil code. But let us think in prelims, they are not going to ask a question, do you need uniform civil code? They can't ask that kind of question in prelims. In prelims, it will be more based on objective. The statement has to be objective. Statement cannot be subjective. So, if you take any main subject, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4 and optional subject, they are all subjective. 90% of the questions which will come is subjective. Maybe 10% of the questions which will be their objective. Objective ka matlab. So, they might ask something like that, explain the election of the Indian president. This is not a subjective question, this is an objective question. So you just need to explain. Explain what, okay, how is the president elected? Who are participating in the electoral process? Who conducts the election? But that quantum of question what they're asking in mains is very, very less. They're asking more subjective questions. So that is why if you see most of the mains questions, it is examine, critically analyze, discuss, comment. So one thing is that why we tell read newspaper. Anything is that because it is in newspaper where you learn the art of analysis. Editorial pages, they give you the analysis. 90% of the students who prepare in Bangalore, they don't read newspaper, or over a period of time they will quit reading newspaper because it becomes a burden for them. Two reasons. One, they might not understand English, or second, they might find it too complex to read. And what they will do, will go for some current affairs material. I will read some material. Vision IAS is there now. ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ವಿಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದರೆ ವಿಷನ್ IAS ನ 300 ಸತಿ ಓದಿದ್ರು ಏನು ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ IAS ಅಂತೂ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಏನು ಮಾಡಿ, ನಿಮಗೆ ವಿಷನ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಎಕ್ಸಾಮ್ಗೆ, ನೀವು ಬರೀ ವಿಷನ್ IAS ನಾನು 300 ಸತಿ ಓದ್ತೀನಿ, ಇವಾಗ ಇಲ್ಲೂ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಲ್ಲೂ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ, ನೀವು ಮುಸೋರಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಇಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲೂ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. So for that to happen, you need to have a right vision of the exam. Right vision of the exam, you need to understanding how this exam works. So that's what we say. Computation, again, if you take like rudimentary level of computation, like some people, like they're of the opinion, sir, I know how to write Kannada, so Kannada is my option. Or you can say, I am very interested in politics, political science is my option. It's not based on that you're interested in politics or you know. So for every subject has its own demand. Okay, you have to know the understanding of the demand. Now for political science, paper 1, if you take, broadly there are 2 parts. I'll show with PPT after Darshan's session. But just to give you a rudimentary. Part A is introduction to political theory. Okay, what do you mean by political theory? Here you are going to study about some scholars. Okay, Western scholars, Indian scholars. And it is fixed. They have given who are the Western scholars: Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli. You have Hobbes, Locke, J.S. Mill, Hannah Arendt, Karl Marx, Gramsci. Now, sir, should I know everything about Plato? Where was he born? Who is his parents? Okay, he's from which country? Not required. Maybe for a basic understanding when class is done, that will be said. But that is of no use in the exam. And Plato and Aristotle, if you take, they don't only speak about politics, they speak about a lot of things. For us, a lot of things is not important. For us, mainly politics is important. What he has spoken about politics. As a sample example, when you study Plato, the first scholar you are going to study, it's very simple. He belonged to Greek city-state called as Athens. In that city-state, there was one problem. What was that? There was high corruption and there was high nepotism. Nepotism means favoring family members. And the situation in Athens was deteriorating. And obviously, this fellow being a scholar, etc., he wanted to give a solution to that problem. Solution to that problem, what he gave, the solution is a king, a type of king called as philosopher king. Philosopher king, in the name only it is there. He should be a highly well-read person and intellectual in that regard. And he told that fellow should be given supreme powers and he should be made to rule. And he brought other conditions. He told one, he should not be married. He should not have private property, because he told family and private property are the root causes of corruption. That idea he gave, that is a simple idea, the whole of Plato, he gave this particular idea. Then we'll decipher, okay, why he gives that particular kind of idea. He'll go a bit spiritual or metaphysical. Metaphysical means he will speak about theory of soul and all. Means every human body has a soul and every soul is not equal. Means he says souls is oriented through three elements: reason, appetite and courage. In some souls reason is very dominant. So these people are very knowledgeable. So knowledge can be groomed in them. And if you see this theory of soul, it is also seen in India. The connection is how? The connection is how is because Plato's influence on Plato, one of the person was Pythagoras. The Pythagoras who was given this theorem. This fellow had visited India and he had impressed by the Indian philosophy, transmigration of soul. And that is how Plato's influence is seen on things. So when you read Plato and when you look at Indian political thought, you find a lot of similarities between them. Not exact similarities, but some sense of similarities is seen. So here the whole questions will be oriented on Plato's ideas in exam. Okay, they will tell, do you think Plato's philosopher king is the solution for the present day corruption? When you write your answer, you will have to write, okay, why he gave that idea? What is the core aspect of the idea? But you will also have to analyze that idea. The analysis means it's not your analysis. You can bring critics. Critics means some people would have critiqued that particular idea. For example, his own student, Aristotle, he will criticize him, saying that, how can we give all the power to one person just because he is highly knowledgeable? End of the day is human being. And he says that how can you cut off private property and family? Because he says that family is not just for reproduction. He told family plays a key role in development of an individual capacity. So he says that if a person who's grown up without a family, do you think human values will be there in him? Should such a person become a ruler who will not be compassionate, who will not have human emotions? Second one, he'll tell private property can be a root cause of corruption, but he also says private property is a source for you to work hard. Means if somebody does not find any benefit they are going to get, why will they put that kind of effort? So the whole subject here is designed in a way we call as dialectics. Dialectics means for every argument there is a counter argument. So when you study anything, you will have to study two ways. So when you take UCC, can be studied through theses and antitheses. Thesis can be we need UCC. What are the arguments that you need UCC? What will be the antithesis? What are the challenges in bringing UCC? Your conclusion part will be always synthesis. What is synthesis? The best in both arguments you need to summarize and you can say, now what is the way forward? So one part is that you will be studying thinkers like Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli. What are their ideas? Only political ideas. Here many people what they think is that okay, we have to know the whole details of Plato, not required. Similarly, Indian political thought we have Kautilya, Manu, Buddhist political thought, Ambedkar, Gandhi, M.N. Roy, Aurobindo Ghosh. Again, now should we know life history of Gandhi? No. The main political ideas given by Gandhi. Swaraj, Sarvodaya, again Ambedkar, annihilation of caste. These are the major ideas you want to study. Now, what is the use of studying this? From optional subject you have to study. But if you see PSIR is one optional, that to a greater extent it overlaps with GS. Okay, I'm not telling 100% it will overlap because you can't market in a way saying that okay 100% you take PSIR, 100% your GS covered, because I don't believe in any kind of false marketing. It's a choice you can make. It's not nobody is compelling you to come and join. But an understanding if you compare to other optional subject, there is a overlap of PSIR with GS. For example, in PSIR you're reading modern history. That is Indian National Movement, strategies in the Indian National Movement. Part B, PSIR. This is there in GS paper 1. Then in PSIR you have IR part. In IR part you are reading Cold War, you are reading decolonization, colonization. This is again there in World History part, GS paper 1. And in PSIR you are reading about caste, gender, religion. This again reflects in your society part. In PSIR you are also reading about globalization, positive, negatives. That is again, it's reflected in what? GS paper 1 you have globalization. In PSIR you are reading the same polity part, constitution, making of the constitution, parliament, fundamental rights, directive principle of state policy, center state relations, constitutional bodies, statutory bodies. This is again reflected in your GS paper 2. And IR, bilateral relations between countries, again GS paper 2. Now these Plato, Gandhi, Ambedkar, John Rawls, etc. If you take ethics paper, in ethics paper you have moral philosophers of the world. Again they repeat in ethics. Again if you take GS paper 3, you have land reforms, you have policies brought by the state. So here also you have something called as political economy, means the economic policies brought by the state. Then if you take essay paper, most of the essay papers if you see in last 5 to 6 years, they are asking in what format? What is the large number of essays, how their essays are oriented? Largely philosophical essays. So most of the philosophical essays, if you see political science, it comprises of two parts, political philosophy and political science. So here also you will read bit about philosophical ideas, Plato's ideas, there are Marx's ideas. So that will help you in formulating your essay. But I am not telling that, once you read PSR, automatically your essay will improve. You can use philosophical ideas to write your essays pretty well. So that's why I told it overlaps to 45 to 50%. But again, there is a difference. How you write PSIR answers and how you write GS answers, there is subtle differences that you will understand over a period of time. But what you read is common to both. So we have with us Darshan HV, and he's Indian Administrative Service, and he had cleared the exam in 2015 with an All India rank of 47. He was Karnataka's topper that year. And so we welcome him on behalf of Team Insights, and he was a very close friend of mine. We were preparing, so I thank him for, he agreed immediately when we told this session should be there. Why I invited him was that, so I think I've told his stories before also in class. So he was one of the person, as I told, he was not able to clear prelims 3 times. 4th time he cleared his prelims for the first time. I think that was the year from Kannada optional he had changed to political science. Okay. And when he was preparing, I was shocked, young clear ಮಾಡ್ತಾನಪ್ಪ ಇವನು ಇವಾಗ ತಗೊಂಡವನು 3 ತಿಂಗಳು ಆಗಿದೆ. But he not only was the Karnataka topper, in political science, paper 1, he was the All India topper. He scored 151 or something, because Tina Dabi was the topper that year. She scored 299, he scored 281, but paper 1 he was the highest scorer. So he's an example for many people, is that this exam can be cracked within a short span, provided you approach it correctly. And that is one of the reasons why we invited him to today's session, to give an orientation to his students, like what to expect in this subject, why he chose political science, and how did he prepare, and rest he'll speak about his journey. Okay. So now I'll offer the dais to Darshan.
Good morning. ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ಕೊಂತೀನಿ. Thank you. English ಅಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲ? English. Okay. So very good morning. Thank you, Nikhil, for lovely introduction. So I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I'll just follow up on what Nikhil has said. So I and Nikhil, we used to study together, basically. So we used to study in a lot of libraries. Libraries used to be our, I would say first home, and our actual home used to be the second home. So it used to be like that. And yes, I had started preparing for UPSC from 2011. I'm a 2011 passed out of JSS College. I'm an engineering graduate from industrial engineering. So from 2011 till 2015, 4 years I have studied. I could give 3 attempts initially. As Nikhil was mentioning, first attempt, that was the first time actually the paper was changed. Before the paper for prelims used to be in a different one. Then they changed it to CSAT paper 1 and paper 2. So in that case, the initial, if I'm not wrong, the cutoff marks was 190, and I've got somewhere around 186, 188. That was the first year. Then again, I had to spend one more year. Right after college, spending one more year without any work is not a small thing. Even it's not a small thing today. It was not a small thing during that time also. So okay, let me give the second attempt. So tried again, tried harder. We worked together. I mean, we read together. We conversed together. We used to study together till late night and all. The second time, the cutoff marks was 241, and I got 239 marks. So again, two more marks was the difference. So again, I've already given 3 years of my prime youth to this study. So I was just thinking whether should I be giving one more year or not. Because by that time, my dear friends, all of you will go through such kind of thing. Not many of us are fortunate to clear the exam in just one attempt. There are many in my batchmate, there are many whom I know also who have cleared in just one attempt. That is like 1 in a million kind of thing. It will not happen to everyone. The next time, that is the third time, I was just thinking because I was a topper in college. I had secured 8th rank in VTU. So I had a lot of offers. Many of the offers were like, going to Japan or going to Europe or studying my masters and all, and I had left it. And still there was a window of opportunity whether I could take that opportunity or not. Then thanks to my family, my father, my mother, my uncle, and a lot of friends like Nikhil. So I thought like, okay, let us give one more try. So the third attempt was a very tricky one because if I'm not wrong, during that time, the central government had just increased the number of attempts for general, OBC and SC/ST 2 more times. For general, it was only 4. Then they increased it to 6, but it was not officially declared, if I'm right. So I had just a window of opportunity of one more attempt at that time. So the third attempt, again, the cutoff marks was 206, and I got 204. Yes, not many of you can believe it. Even I could not believe it. It's like, there is something wrong with the number 2 for me. So all the 3 attempts I gave. So I lost somewhere on the first attempt around 4 marks, the second and third attempts around 2 marks. So now 3 years, 3 attempts of mine, 4 years of my thing. My colleagues, that is my friends, my my college friends and all, they are like, good positions, they are earning well, they are doing well, but I'm still at home, not doing anything, dedicated only for this. Now, my dear friends, I want you guys to understand, UPSC or KPSC or any other service, government service that you want to do, you should get into it or you should strive for it only if you know that this is the place where I want to work for the rest of my life, or this is the place where I want to work for the majority of my working life, if I would say. Why? Because this is not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing to get into it, whether it is state service or central service. It doesn't matter. It is not an easy thing to get into it. It is tougher to even continue doing it because you have to work for a lot of hours. Sometimes I put in 16 hours a day. So it happens. So that is the kind of thing, irrespective of which level of service, whether it is IAS or IPS or IRS or foreign service or forest service, it is the same for everyone. The only thing that motivates you is not the salary. The only thing that motivates you is not the place where you'll be working. It is just the kind of change you can get or you can make in the society. The kind of change can be anything, a small thing. Maybe you can help an old person to get a pension. Maybe if you are an IPS officer, you can sort out an issue that is left unsolved for like 20, 25 years. Maybe you can solve a crime. That is a good thing for a society. With respect to GST or taxation, if you're an IRS officer, whether it is IT or customs, if you can make sure that if you can tighten certain things, the society or the people will you can make sure that they pay taxes properly. Without taxes, there are no developments. If you are in any kind of central services, each signatures, each file you push is worth hundreds of crores, will impact hundreds of thousands of lakhs of people, depending on whether you are in state service or central service. So basically, I would say, when you do all this and come back home, you will get a sleep that you are striving for. So that is something that this UPSC or KPSC or any other services offer it to you. And it will take a toll on you, it will take a toll on your physical energy, it will take a toll on your mental stability, it depends on your emotional quotient, it depends on your IQ, it also depends on your social quotient, SQ, which we call as. So only when such kinds of things are there, such kinds of motivations are there within you, then this is the place for you. And I'm sure you have taken the first step of coming here, having chosen political science, and with an able guidance of someone like Nikhil, who guided me and a lot of people like me to get into what we were supposed to get into. I'm sure this first step should project you to a greater heights. So coming back to my third attempt. So after my third attempt, then I realized that, okay, I really need to do something. So what I started doing was I started giving different, papers. I mean, started applying for different exams. Doesn't matter whether it is Karnataka service or Tamil Nadu or UP or Delhi. You can even apply for other state service also, provided you know the local language of whether it is Hindi, Tamil, Andhra, and other criteria. So we started there are more central services. It was like a revision for me. On the same year, the fourth time, okay, the cutoff was somewhere around 210 or something, 210 or something. And luckily, I got close to 248, 250. So it was like way beyond what was expected. So when you get more marks, there are two options for you. I mean, two advantages. One is, of course, your confidence booster. The second one is the top few percentage of people who have got higher marks will automatically qualify to forest service also. Forest service is clubbed within this. Though the prelims is same, the mains for forest services and the mains for other UPSC 23 services also is different. So I also got into the forest service. So we also got into the forest service. Even Nikhil was one of us. So we had our, the exam center in Tamil Nadu. Most of you remember 2016 there was like widespread flood in November and December in Tamil Nadu. And we had to go there. There were hardly any buses. Then we had to hire some and we had to go there. Even when we went there, it was raining, there was flood. To the exam center, when we had to walk, the water was still knee high, more than knee high actually. In that, we wrote the exam. Even the exam center was in a good condition because of a lot of cyclonic rain and all. The water used to gush inside. We used to sit here just like you guys, and there used to be water. And some of the water used to leak from the roof, but still we wrote it. But still the exam was conducted. Thanks to those officers who conducted it so well, we wrote everything, and we wrote at least 8 times there. I mean, 8 different papers with respect to that. Forest service, of course, I could not clear because forest service was not my cup of tea. But with respect to UPSC, there was one small minor change that I made that actually impacted me a lot. So for the first 3 years, initial 2 years, we had to write 2 different papers, I chose first Kannada literature and then public administration. Then in the later stage, when UPSC examination started evolving, so the 2 mains paper was restricted to only 1 mains paper. And I took political science. So the reasons, I'll tell you why, before I start talking more about political science. From my point of view, why I took political science was, first, when I took Kannada literature, though I am very good with Kannada, though I have not studied in Kannada medium, though I studied from first in English medium, my Kannada was good. And I had too much of interest in Kannada literature, the poets and, Halagannada, ancient and all the other things. So that's why I thought I'll take Kannada. But what I didn't realize is, the speed which I could write in Kannada language was very less. I could not complete the papers. Even if I had cleared my prelims during the first 3 years, I would not made it through the mains because I would not have completed the Kannada papers. The speed was important. So I tried and tried and tried, and I realized, okay, Kannada is not something that is my cup of tea, because there were a lot of people in Kannada who could just write faster than me, even faster like what I could write in English. So I knew that, my competition here is more. So I was looking into some other subjects. Public administration was the first choice, that at that time, and I'm sure even now, public administration is one of the sought after, but I don't know the present status of that. Then the other one was anthropology. Okay, I was like looking into it. Then two people were studying political science. One is, of course, Mr. Nikhil here, who is a good friend of mine, and one more, Mr. Hanmant Raju, who has also got into the service. So I thought, like, let us discuss about political science. Then they are like, they didn't tell me anything. They just gave me the syllabus of political science. My dear friends, if you have seen the syllabus of political science, there is like two papers, paper 1, paper 2. In paper 1, there is part A and part B, and paper 2, again, part A and part B. If you see the part A of paper 1, 40% of it, whatever we study in that, 40% of it will be covered in general science 1, general studies 1. If you have seen the general studies 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm just giving you the comparison of what way political science will be beneficial for you in general studies 1. If you see the general studies 1 portion, 40% of it is covered in political science part 1 paper, that is paper 1. Next, coming to general studies 2. General studies 2 is completely on polity and a little bit on international relations. 100% of it is covered in political science. 100% of it. If you study political science, you actually don't need to study general studies too, which I also did not do it. But we knew that whatever we have studied in political science, the same would be there in the polity and the international relations. The third one of general studies 3 is about economics, internal defense and external defense, and certain other minor topics. Even in that, 40 to 50% of the paper in general studies 3 is covered in political science. Now, my friends, 40% of general studies 1, 100% of general studies 2, 40 to 50% of general studies 3, and there is one more paper called ethics, general studies 4, where all the thinkers and the constitutional mechanisms and the international relations, national thinkers, international thinkers, everything, you can use it in general studies 4. You can talk about Mahabharata, you can talk about Ramayana, you can talk about Greek and Latin thinkers. You can talk about anything under the world in GS4, and political science will actually help you. So political science will actually get you through general studies 1, 2, 3, 4 also. That means you don't have to study general studies 2 and 4 again, and you just have to study half of general studies 1 and 3. So that was something that motivated me, and I took political science and international relations. So that is the first one. Next, when did I take it? I took just before I filed DAC, we used to call it as DAC at that time, for the mains exam. And I had only 3.5 months. From the time the prelims exam was conducted and from the time mains exam was declared, I personally had only 3.5, and I did not know anything about political science. All I knew was political science and international relations is something that I might be good at, I will be good at, and if I study this, I can save my time in studying GS1, 2, 3, 4. So this was the major factor that actually happened in this. So apart from this, I'll continue with what political science can actually give it to you. Just a simple, this is purely for mains. I mean, there is nothing with respect to prelims. This is only for mains. But I can tell you, if you can score well in mains, the other GS1, GS2, GS3 and GS4, the difference in marks is not so much. If there is a difference of 20, let's say in GS papers out of all the 4, it doesn't make much difference. But if there is the same difference of 20 marks between you and the other candidate in any mains paper, that will give you like hundreds of ranks of difference. So that is why you need to concentrate more on your main subject, in this case political science, rather than GS. Okay, so I'll just give you a simple either how do I rub ಮಾಡೋದು? Yeah, thank you. White, red ಇದೆ. Okay. So this is something I always keep telling it to everyone. I keep repeating it to every political science student to just follow this. Whatever I am teaching you, hundreds of people would be knowing it, but how you execute it, that 5% or 10% difference in the execution will actually make a mark in your one. So when you write any answer, if I tell you, let us just start with a simple exercise here. Uh, I'll just tell me a question that you are interested in with respect to political science. Any kind of topic. Anyone? Any topic that you know. Any contemporary topic. Sorry? Uniform civil code. Okay. I will give you just 3 minutes, or just you can take like 4 minutes. Write something about uniform civil code. You can start something, whatever you want to write about. The topic is uniform civil code. All you have to do write is, what is uniform civil code? What are the advantages of uniform civil code? What are the disadvantages of uniform civil code? For people who who do not know about uniform civil code, uniform civil code is something where all the societal laws or something with respect to your even private, it is the same. For example, there is no difference if I am a Hindu or if I am a Christian or if I am a Muslim. If there will not be any difference if I'm if I belong to any particular caste or region. So whether it is in Delhi, whether it is in Mumbai or Bangalore, the personal laws are same. Any more clarity on uniform civil code? Yes, please write. Your time starts now. Zero copy. One minute up, 2 more minutes. Two minutes up, last minute. ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ವೈಟ್ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ದಪ್ಪ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. Yeah, thank you. Thirty more seconds. Time up, you can stop. Can I have two writing if anyone is willing to? Can I have you? No? Anybody? Just two. Don't worry, it is just. Thank you. Thank you. Don't worry, it is not a comparison. It is just to make you understand the difference. So I have two papers with me, written by two people, and I had given you exactly around 4 minutes actually, not even 3 minutes. So I'll read out the first one about Uniform Civil Code. Please, my dear friends, listen to this. This answer can be all of yours, and it is, you don't need to judge it because this is just a plain thing that is there. India being a diverse country, which includes people from different religion, caste, follow different traditions and customs, need a uniform civil law to govern relating to their marriage, divorce, their right and duties are guaranteed by the Indian Constitution, which also specifies there has to be equality, good, where no person has to be discriminated. For that, a proper uniform civil code is needed. There has to be a proper framework for a legislation which applies to all the citizens and which is implemented properly. It increases integrity and diversity among the citizens and easy administration for the country. One answer. And this is about 60 words if I am not wrong. Then the next one probably is about again 50-60 words. UCC is on the major political agenda of BJP NDA government since its government came into power in central government since 2014. This is about personal laws will be same across the country for every citizen of the country, irrespective of their place, religion, caste, and etc. Uttarakhand is the first state which implemented UCC in the country. Some of the other states like Rajasthan, MP are looking into the implementation. Good. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Now, my dear friends, I wanted to look at your answers. Okay, all of it. How many of you are happy with your answers? Or let me put it this way, how many of you feel that I could have written better? All? Good. This feeling will be there even when you write your final answer in the exam. Okay, so get used to it. You can never have 100% of answer, never ever. You can have the best. There is a difference between best and 100%. That percent can be, you have to minimize that. If the best or the 100% is there, and if your best percentage is 60%, then you have to make sure that the gap between 60% and 100% lessens. If you can get it close to somewhere around 80%, good. 90%, very good. 95%, excellent. The difference between 95% and 100% is what decides who is going to be the topper in that. I'll give you one example. What all of you have written as of now, I don't know how much teaching has been happened with respect to Uniform Civil Code or any other political science subject. That thing has to keep on improving. The reason is, so first, I'm going to talk about certain things which has to be included in your answers. The first one is legislative. you can also mention whatever it is there. So these are the different dimensions is what we call it. Related to legislature, related to judicial, administration, environmental, international relations, polity, we get some stakeholders, that is children, women, old, we'll consider youth, we'll consider different countries, we can look into education as an aspect, we can also look into health as an aspect, we can look into industry, we can talk about thinkers, we can talk about constitution, we can talk about wildlife or animals, we can talk about okay. Now I want you to frame the same answer using this. I'll tell you an example. Uniform Civil Code. All right. We'll start with the Uniform Civil Code, then we'll go to any other ones. First is the legislature. So what all of you have written as of now, if you read, it is very generic. You know, everybody knows what is Uniform Civil Code. Of course, you should write what is Uniform Civil Code. But what makes your answer better than the others? Here, your competition is not with the question. Your competition is with respect to the people who are writing mains with you. All you have to do is, your mark should be more than the next best one. That's it. You don't really have to get 100% of the mark. Even if you get 50% of the marks. By the way, in mains, if the marks for a question is 10 marks, if you get more than 6 marks, it is very good. So that is the kind of competition and that is the kind of level they expect from you. If you are getting 50% of the marks, you are in a very good state. If you are getting 40% of it, you are still in the good state. Okay, and not hardly any people will get out of it. So I have not heard about it. First is the legislative. When you talk about Uniform Civil Code, you need to talk about legislature. What is legislature? Is nothing but what we legislate in, like either in a parliament or a state government. You should tell what exactly is the Uniform Civil Code, what is happening in the country, and what can be done. And this has to be written in just less than a minute. You know, so overall, one question you will take close to 9 minutes. That is the difference, or that is the time period that you will get to write a question. Within 9 minutes, you have to answer a question. Only then you will be able to complete all the questions. Okay. The first thing you can look into legislative. What is the present legislature that is going on? Uniform Civil Code. Which are the communities or which are the regions that are having a different one with respect to personal laws, and why uniform personal laws should be there. Should be there or should not be there. You can take a call, or you can even have a neutral. Next one is the judiciary. What are the courts? You know, Supreme Court or High Court. If you can come up with some judgment, if you know some judgment, if you can use it, if there is anything that you can think about with respect to courts, you can have an answer on that. Then the administrative aspect. Now that let's say law is made, rules have to be framed. Rules have to be framed again with the help of administration. Who is the administration? State government would come, central government would come. Under that are officers. Officers, IAS officers like me who will be looking into the administration part. Basically framing of rules and implementation of this. So when we give, let's say a DC has the power to look into, deputy commissioner. So he comes under the administration part. Then the environmental. Is there anything related to environment? When I say environment, it is not just the actual environment, you know, wildlife and other things. It's about the societal environment also. What can actually look into, if this comes, whether it will create harmony in the society or whether it will create some law and order issues. Then international relations. When I say international relations, you can give an example of which are the other countries that follow uniform civil code? Are there any other countries which again do not follow civil code? So that will give weightage to your answers. The next one is the polity. Again, polity is nothing but paper 2 which I was talking about. In the constitution or in the polity 1, is there anything that talks about uniform civil code? Is there anything that talks about uniform civil code? Can anybody? Sorry? Yes, under DPSP, Directive Principles of State Policy, the first one is under this thing is the implementation or creation of uniform civil code something. So you should take a leaf out of it. In our constitution, it has been mentioned about uniform civil code. That is why it can be or may not be done, whatever is your call. Then children. How does it affect the children? Now, this is a very contentious issue which is again debated a lot. But always your answer should be neutral. You should not be pro anything. You should not be against anything. That is the, I would say, unbreakable thing. If you start looking at, going for one-sided answer, then your answer will lose weightage. Even in this uniform civil code, let us say children. Does it affect children? Yes. Sometimes some people say it is good for children. I don't know, or we don't know. So you have to take a very balanced answer. How does it affect children? Just imagine if there are, let's say, 3 wives or 3 husbands, and you have like multiple children from different related ones. So is it good? How does it affect a family? Should the family stay together? Should the family be stay away? What does it cost with respect to economic one? So that is the aspect you need to touch upon. Again, you can write whatever is there in your view. It doesn't necessarily have to be you have to be pro this or you have to be against this. Then the next one is women. You can talk from the woman's perspective. Isn't uniform civil code good for women? Is it or not? Again, you can take a call. Some might say uniform civil code, when it comes, like everyone will have a same one. Women are empowered, or women would be more satisfied with the kind of law, so that there is no subjugation of that. Then take a call on that. Old people, of course, you should always use the age-old ones, because they are the ones who form a bunch of the societal one. And also youth. How does it affect youth? How does this thing creates a mindset within our youth? Countries, again, what are the different takes on countries? Whenever India comes up with any law, some of the other countries would comment on that. Okay, what India is doing is right, or what India is doing is wrong. If you know anything about that, you should mention that. About the education. Now something like this is there. You have to impart that to the school children or to the college going people. How do you do it, and how you are going to look into that aspect? Then health, of course, you can take into it. Having a multiple partners, is it good? Is it bad? Is it something related to health? One. And also when you have more and more people in that, and if your income is less, does it impact your health? Yes. Does it impact your nutrition? Yes. Does it impact the growth of your children? Probably yes, if you do not provide them a proper nutrition. So you can look into that angle also. Industry as a whole, does it have an impact on the industry? We don't know. You can take a call on that. Thinkers, what were the thinkers who spoke something about UCC? You can start from Plato and Aristotle, who had spoken about family, who had, I'm not sure whether you have gone till that, but you will learn about Plato, Aristotle and other people who talks about how the family should be, and their ideas were completely revolutionary. The institution of marriage was not frowned upon by Plato. So he thinks there should not be a marriage, or there should be like an open kind of thing where soldiers or well-built people should be together, or someone else should be like that. So it is a very, I would say, a destructive thinking during those times also to talk something about family. So those kind of thinkers you can mention here. And again, constitution, I've already mentioned what was there in the DPSP. Then wildlife, in this case, it doesn't matter. And also, does it impact on law and order? Might be. Someone had mentioned in that Uttarakhand, when UCC was implemented in Uttarakhand, did it lead to violence in certain places? You can mention about that. So many aspects are there. These are just basic one. You can add more and more aspects. So the thing that I'm trying to tell here is, your answer, when it start looking into so many other aspects, will be the best answer. If you look what both of you had written and what many of you would have written, would have covered only one or two, right? No one would have covered as all these aspects. There are so many other things that you can also look into it. I'll give you one more example. Now, let us take something like, a multinational company, okay? A multinational company wants to come and invest in India. Let us take Bangalore itself. And what is it asking? It is asking, give me some incentives. I will invest, let's say, 1,000 crores here. You give me an incentive of 100 crores. So what the government would normally say, because it creates a lot of employment and other things and all, normally government would say yes. Now I want to, the question is simple for all of you guys. We'll discuss then you can write one more. An MNC X wants to come and invest in India, in Bangalore, let's say, for 1,000 crore rupees. Is it good, or comment on it? This is the question. I want you guys to comment on it. Let's start with the first one. Legislative. Can anybody talk about legislative, how this topic can be covered under legislature? Doesn't matter, just speak. Because the more you speak, the better you get. First one will talk about legislature. Yeah. Sure. So when it comes to legislature, very good, thank you. The state government, or let's say officers like us, will look into which are the compliances that a particular company is doing. What is it investing on? Is it investing on biotechnology? Is it investing on automotive sector? Is it investing on something on electronics, or is it an IT company? When it is biotechnology related, let's assume there will be a lot of environmental compliances that they need to take. So that covers the legislative part. Thank you. Then let's go for the judicial. Something related to courts. Can you look into something, what courts can say about all this? Yes, liability. For example, if you think about the 1986 disaster that happened in Bhopal gas strategy, 84 or 86? 84, sorry. 1984 tragedy that happened in Bhopal. So what were the liabilities of that particular company, or what did the government could take legally? What the courts actually mentioned. So that you can briefly mention, saying in terms of judicial before accident. You can talk about Chernobyl that happened in 86 in the present Ukraine, where we don't know how many people died, but it impacted almost all of like Eastern European countries. Even today it is impacting. So that is the judicial aspect. Administrative. Can anybody talk about administrative? Administrative is like implementation part. Officers like us will look into it, look into the incentives, compliances, whether they're following some labor laws or something. Delegation of rules and regulations, of course. The officers, the field officers who look into it will be looking at. For example, if the boilers, there is something called Boilers Act, whether they are complying with or not. Labor laws. There are so many labor laws saying like, you should not do this, you should do this, you should give them pension, you should give them security, you should give them insurance. So all those things will be looked after by the administrative part. Then the environmental. Again, the tragedies or the present one, if there is a lake, the treated water should be left to the lake. There has to be a sewage treatment plant. There has to be, all kind of treatments with respect to gaseous one or a liquid or even solid, so that there is no effect on the environment. International relations. Bilateral one. Let's say an MNC is coming from Poland. Okay, so that MNC will of course reach out to our government. Then their government also will reach out to our government. So there will be a bonhomie between government of India or government of Karnataka and the government of Poland. So this is good for the future endeavors that the both governments can actually take. Okay, so you can mention that. Polity. When I say polity, it is just constitution and laws and the other things. So you can mix both in that. Children. How does it affect children? You can think. There is no right or wrong answer. Even when you write in the mains, there is no right or wrong answer. It is what you think. Tell me, someone from Poland is coming and investing here. Government of Karnataka is giving them incentives. Does it affect children? Sorry? Skill development will come in youth part. So let us stick to children. When I say children, someone below 18 years. Does it affect children? Yes, good point. Health is one. What are the next point? Please speak. If you don't speak, you will not understand this because I will not be coming here again and again. You have to be under the guidance of Nikhil. So when I'm here, please utilize it. I want you guys to speak. Whether it is right or wrong, please speak. Child labor. That was the point I was looking at. Children, if of course the child labor is not at all rampant or hardly there is any child labor, but that is something that you can look into it. There are still certain areas like, I would say crackers, where still child labor is prevalent in some other states or so. We should also make sure that it doesn't affect children in that way. Children are not used in the factories. Apart from that, what you can think about is people when they are they are employed in the factory, they'll be having their children. They might be a person who is earning less than normal wage. There might be a person who is earning more than normal wage, or a managerial position. Their children at least will be getting a proper education, will be getting a proper food and nutrition. You can also touch upon that. Women. Sorry. Yes, diversity. Some of the companies still offer in certain cases 50-50 kind of thing. 50% of them should be men, 50% of them should be women. It is not mandatory, but it is the company policy. So when such kind of policies are there, this leads to women empowerment. Even when such policies are not there, women can still be a part of the workforce. When I say workforce, 3 layers if we say, lower level, managerial and top position, they can be on anything. So their economic will increase, their family economics will increase, and finally the whole health and education of the whole family will be taken care of. That is something that you can touch upon. Old, how does it affect the old? Pension, that is a good one, but not every company will be giving the pension and not every person will be retiring from that company. But yes, pension is one aspect. What is the next one with respect to old? You can talk about, yes, talk about both negative and positive. He spoke about positive, you are talking about. If there is a huge, when we say factories, it is not like a building or something. Imagine 100 building like this. So that will be the size of a factory that is worth 1,000 crores. Or that will be the size of a building that is worth 1,000 crores. Okay, and 1,000 is the minimum. We are looking at beyond 1,000 nowadays. So old, if there are too many noises, they might be affected. If there are too many construction activities happening, the soil and the dust can happen and they can affect women, children and old. You can talk about that. Apart from that, old can also be a part of factory mechanism. They can do per hour kind of job if they are not jobless, if they want to do it. You can talk about both positive and negative. Youth, skill development. By getting the factories here, we are skilling our youth to work in that factory or company so that our youth are employable. So unemployment actually reduces with such kind of thing. Next, countries. It is similar to IR, but it is always different. International relations is more about country to country relations. When I say countries, exactly what exactly is happening in a particular company. In this case, when I spoke about Poland, Poland has actually invested in India. India as a country has got FDI. Poland as a country has invested and it is getting a profit in return as a country. So there, whether they are investing in dollars or whether they are investing in bullion or I would say gold, their economy also increases. So it is a win-win situation. Education. Increase in standard of quality of education. Next, what can happen with respect to education? I'll give you a very simple example. Bangalore is called as what capital? Can you? IT. And IT capital, startup capital, then Metropolitan capital, yes. Cosmopolitan capital, and sorry, we are also called as biotechnology capital. Then, okay. So when we talk about education, when before Bangalore became IT capital, BT capital, and all other capitals and all, if you look at 1960s and 70s, what was Bangalore? Bangalore was the hub for PSUs, public sector undertakings. We had watches, old watches, HMT watches. I used to wear it. It is not in production. That was being manufactured in Bangalore, HMT, factory, which is no longer working now. Second is many companies like Wipro and Infosys were started in Bangalore. When they started in a small room, like a garage kind of thing, and then they expanded. This is like 1960s and 70s. Name any company: HAL, Hindustan Aeronautical Limited; Bell, Bharat Electrical Limited; BHEL, Heavy Electrical Limited. So all these companies were there initially in Bangalore. Then what happened in late 80s and 90s? Foreign companies started coming thanks to 1991 reform. The first company which came to Bangalore was Texas Instruments from Texas, USA. It is still one of the largest companies that have invested in Bangalore, technological one. So what they did was, when Texas Instruments came, they needed certain skills. I have a machine, let's say electronics. How many of you use iPhone or Samsung phone or something? Anybody iPhone? Yeah, iPhone. So, for the manufacturing of iPhone, one iPhone to manufacture, the kind of skill set that you need is enormous. The same, I would say the same, or the chip that you see, the copper wire that is there in the chip, if you start putting it in a straight line, it will run to kilometers. And that is there within just minute chip. That is the power of electronics. And how can you do it? You cannot do without the local talent. We did not know how to do it. We did not know when Texas Instruments came. We didn't know before IT boom happened. We didn't know anything before BT biotechnology companies came. We didn't know anything even before animation, visual effects, gaming and comics came. All the Hollywood movies today that are made, you name any great Hollywood movies, someone or the other would have given some outsourced contract to a Bangalore company who would have made that animation, who would have made that comics, who would have made that graphics. Name any Hollywood movies or name any Bollywood movies, some or the other one, almost all of them, their visual effects was done in Bangalore. KGF, our own KGF, everything was in Bangalore. You take Tamil movies like Leo and other things which was there, those graphics and visual effects were done here. Hollywood movies, whether it is Avengers or Avatar or anything, some of the part of graphics and animation were done by Bangalore companies. So that way, every time a new company comes with a new technology, we have to change the skill set, we have to change our education system. What I read in engineering during my time would not, today it would not be the same. Okay, you keep changing according to the changing ecosystem. That is the power of education. Health, both you can write about negative and also positive. Positive how? More and more such companies come there, the people getting employed will be increased. When employment increases, the income that they have will also increase. When they have more money in their hands, the two major things that they invest on is health and education. Health of all of the family, education of their children. Okay. Next, industry again. How does it impact other industries? Competition one. Okay. Then what happens with competition? Can you just elaborate? Yes. It will try to increase its quality. It will reduce its cost. What we used to get 10 years back, we'll not get the same thing. We'll get in half the price sometimes. Okay, that is because not just the cost, that is because of the advancement in technology where the cost of making it has reduced. Then, what about the industry? Acquisition and mergers, very important thing. What happens in acquisition and mergers? Imagine two big companies merging together. It will form a very big company again. There are instances where 2 to 3 global conglomerates, I would say, have merged together to become a mammoth. It is like 2 small fishes coming together to become a big fish. That is advantages for both of them. So that is also one of the aspects you can look into. Others? Sorry? AI? So can you speak louder? Artificial intelligence, yes. So the present trend is artificial intelligence. When more and more industries start using artificial intelligence, the output and the outcome will increase. Okay. Next. Technological advancement. That we will write in science and technology. We'll come back to that. Next. The major one, what happens is, when a huge company comes and invests 1,000 crores, it is not just that. A company cannot manufacture all of it. For example, I'll come back to Apple iPhone. Apple iPhone has hundreds of components, and all those hundreds of components are manufactured in different areas. It is not manufactured in one area. Chip is manufactured somewhere. The body is manufactured somewhere. Screen is manufactured somewhere. So there's, when I say somewhere, different companies. So when one major companies like this come, just like this, all the minor, startups and small and medium enterprises and micro and other places come, so that one company will give rise to 10 of other industries. So the local entrepreneurship, local industries also flourish because they provide the components required to manufacture the final product. Thinkers. Can anybody talk about thinkers? Any thinker? Yes, thank you very much. About Kaiga, the harmful effects and also the positive effects. Some thinker, again. Narmada Bachao Andolan, not related to particularly this, but you can call it because that will come under societal movements. Miss Medha Patkar's Narmada Bachao Andolan, which went on for like 3 decades to save whatever it was there. Let us not get into that, but that will come under the societal movement. Next. What can we write with respect to thinkers? Industries, when you say about what did, let's say, Baba Sahib Ambedkar said, what did B.R. Ambedkar said about say about industries? Did Gandhiji mention anything about industries? Did Jawaharlal Nehru mention anything about industries? What was the take on Vallabhbhai Patel, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel on this? Or C. Rajagopalachari, Dr. Rajendra Prasad? You can also go to the international one. What did other international thinkers look into or talk about industry as a perspective? So try to include that. Okay. Then constitution. What does our constitution say anything about such kind of thing? For DIT on? It talks about the justice. You can talk about preamble itself. I would say every answer should contain preamble. If you see, if you read the preamble, it talks about India, Bharat, we the citizens, and give so much justice and all those things. When you talk about justice, economic, social, and all others, and also political one, when you talk about economic importance, please use the word preamble and write what exactly is there in the preamble, and such kind of steps are in consonance with the preamble's objective. Then wildlife. Deforestation, maybe, yes. Then Conservation Act, next. Sorry? Environment Protection Act, then talk about small things. Sorry? Aquatic one. You should talk about 3 things: land animals or birds. Sorry, land animals, water animals, and birds. How does it affect it? And how does it affect the overall ecosystem? When we talk about wildlife, please also think about microbes, earthworms. Because when a company or a factory is set up, and when they start using more and more chemicals, it percolates to other parts of it also, underground. You know, over the years, there are many instances. US example we can take. There are many counties that had actually, that had to people had to migrate from one town to the other town because a particular industry almost, it just destroyed the local ecosystem, especially the underground water. If there is no water, you cannot flourish. Okay, there are some examples in India also. You can look into it. So you should talk about the wildlife, but there are so many other companies who make sure that, for example, I would say Tata's have done a wonderful job. I would also say so many other companies under CSR, they do afforestation, they do plantations and other things, they do conservation of water. Okay, some of the companies have created artificial tanks so huge that even natural tanks are not so big. So that is the kind of one. Then law and order issue. Can you give me one recent example where a law and order issue has happened because of an industry or a factory or a IT or BT or whatever company? Which one? Gig workers one. Yes, gig workers, that is also one. Any law and order issue where they have burned the factory, which you can remember. They have burned, they have killed, or some fights happened in a factory in a huge way. Which one? Sorry, I'm not aware. I don't know. Maybe I saw. So something in Karnataka. Yadu? Kirloskar is one. When did any fight happen there? Okay. Something in Kolar happened recently, 2 years back or something. Again, something related to Apple. So the whole factory or the plant was actually burned down. Burned down in the sense inside there was a lot of ruckus. You guys should remember about Haryana. There was a plant in Haryana. I don't know which Roorkela. Huh? Manesar plant. Sorry, Manesar plant. The whole workers came together. I think they killed a manager. One person was died also. So there are so many instances. Take from Delhi. Take from Mumbai also. Mumbai saying even the pre-independence textile mill strikes and all. Look into the strikes. So those are the things that you can think about with respect to law and order. Science and technology. You were mentioning about science and technology. Every new industry or investment that comes will lead directly or indirectly to the development of science and technology. Next is the movement, social movement. Medha Patkar says one. There are also so many local movements also. There is one Ejipura flyover which Bangalore is looking into. It's been more than 6 years. There is a lot of local people who are opposing it and a lot of people who are for it also. There are so many developmental projects in Karnataka, in Tamil Nadu, in Maharashtra, where people have come together to save a park or let's say to save a tank. But government want to construct a road or something. Again, it's a both way kind of thing. It is good for the overall economy, but when certain people are getting affected for that people will not agree for it. For example, my home. If my home is destroyed, but there is a road built on that, my neighbor might not have any problem. The problem is only mine, isn't it? But for the good of the society, maybe I can be compensated. I should be compensated by the government, and maybe I should agree. But depends on person's personal choice. Okay. Then preamble we spoke about. Any other points you can include? I would say dimension. So why I write in the circle is your answer should cover a 360-degree view. Initially, when you guys wrote, you covered only 2. After a few days, you will start covering 5 to 6 points. Then after some more experience in that, you will start covering this. So by the end, by the time you write the mains exam, you should be able to look into the whole 360-degree view. Take any one. Of course, not everything will be applicable to everything, but majority of the thing. For a particular answer, even if you can cover 6 to 8 dimensions, your answers will be close to perfect. That is what we did. That is what all of you should do. And the way you write it is something that you yourself has to work out. We cannot teach you. We can teach you only, a horse can be taken near the water. The horse itself has to drink it, isn't it? One. So before we ending this political science kind of thing, we'll have one question which you guys are comfortable in and all of you can answer. Any question you guys are comfortable. Contemporary or something. Any topic. Anything. any topic. We'll just do one exercise and we'll close it. Anything you read in newspaper yesterday, day before yesterday, or your favorite topic? Climate change. Okay. So let us say, what can we talk about? Climate change. Okay. India has a forest cover of somewhere around 23.5% locally. So what standard says, or the international standard says, a country or a region or a city or any particular one should have at least 33% of green cover. Arunachal Pradesh has close to 80% probably. Karnataka also has somewhere around 23, 25 something. Overall, India has 23%. It varies with the regions. I would say the question is, afforestation should be a tool for development of the society. I can write here. Afforestation should be a tool for development of society. Comment. This is your first question. Okay, so let us start answering this question within 9 minutes. When I say 9 minutes, my dear friends, I want you to look into it. When you read a question, you will take at least 20 to 30 seconds. If it is a smaller question like this, but when it is like 4-5 lines of question, you will take somewhere close to 40-45 seconds. So you would lose 40-45 seconds in understanding the question, in trying to figure it out what you have to write. So close to 1 minute will just go irrespective of what you will do or what you will think. You will be left with 8 minutes. 8 minutes, you have to write somewhere around 150 to 200 words, which is very difficult. You can actually write, by the time you start going to the 10th or 11th question, that is half of your one, your forearms start hurting. So that is why you need to practice a lot and try to tell more in very limited words. That is the art of mains exam writing. So let us just start. Afforestation should be a tool for development of society. Let us start with legislature. Quickly, we'll finish it off quickly. What legislature do we have with respect to afforestation? Forest Conservation Act and other things and all. And what is the mandate? What is the mandate that we have done? Judicial, courts. Sorry? Green Tribunal is one. The other? Courts actually have mandated so many government institutions and companies to make sure that they plant so and so things. Okay, that is one. Administrative. CSR, corporate social responsibility, we actually implement it. Okay, for example, in the present post that we are there, CSR is one of the activities that I look into it. We reach out to the companies, say that, okay, you are doing so and so this thing, please do afforestation as also a part of CSR activities. Then international relations. Sorry? Global warming. That's it. Global warming is a more and more, Japan actually funds so many countries to increase the cover, green cover. Not only Japan, United Nations organizations and other things, their mandate is to increase the green cover in so many countries. We can talk about international relations. Polity. DPSP has that. Fundamental duties. It also comes under fundamental rights if you look into the aspect. The right to life also includes clean air, green cover and proper, I would say proper environmental ecosystem that is prevalent. Children, how does it affect? Awareness, yes. Then health, very good. Then, sorry? I can't hear you. Yeah. Air conditioner, yes, air. Clean quality air. We would say air quality index. Good. Women, how does it affect? Think about rural women also. So, yes, before there used to be no cooking gas or something. the more and more plants or like shrubs or trees and all, they used to be cut and they used to be used for cooking. Now clean cooking has come. Now there is automatically women don't go to forest or nearby land to cut the trees or something and then cook it. So indirectly by doing so and so thing, not only you are increasing green cover, but you are also increasing the time. I mean, you are giving the quality of time to the women also, so that they also don't suffer with indoor air pollution. What is indoor air pollution? Within a house, if you start cooking using a chula or something, the smoke that collects within the room or a house, that actually impacts women. Old, how does it impact? Green cover, how does it impact the old? Parks, it's a good place for them to keep walking. Then just one is enough. That's what we move on to the next. Youth, how does it impact youth? Sorry? Sustainable development, very good. That is what we are looking at. Sustainable development. You also need the actual development, but along with the sustainability. Countries. Same, you can link it with international relations. Education. Yes, and there is also something called green tourism, where we actually take children towards the trees or towards agriculture crops. Many of our children don't know where rice comes from, where ragi comes from, how it is grown, where corn comes from, where the vegetable comes from, what are the kinds of different flowers flowering trees are there, what is the importance of trees, that is there. So that also impacts the education. Health, of course, you have mentioned. Industry, how does it impact the industry? Both plus and minus. Many of the industries need green cover. Many of the industries, like the plywood that you are looking at, the furnitures, need trees. So it is also an income generating one for the industries also, provided that it is, provided it is done in a very smaller way, not affecting the environment as a whole. Thinkers. Carbon credit is one, yes, with respect to industries. Carbon credit is one. Next, thinkers. Write about all our poets, right from Kuempu. You can talk about Kuempu. You can talk about Kalidasa before. You can talk about international thinkers. Everyone has thought something or the other about the trees, isn't it? You have hundreds of it. Try to think about 2 to 3 or 1 or 2 and write it. Constitution, of course, we have covered. Wildlife. Habitat, 1. Next. Conservation of animals, yes. Then scheduled tribes. I was just looking about that answer. Thank you very much. So for many of our tribal people, whether it is in Andaman or Nicobar or even in the mainland India, forest is their home. Okay, they cannot come out like in the open and live with us or live like us. They have been there for centuries. They want to be there for centuries. We as a people, as the responsible people, should make sure that they also stay there in the forest, depending on their likes. Okay, there are so many tribes. There are 5 major tribes or hundreds of minor tribes in Karnataka itself, right from North Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from Gujarat to Arunachal Pradesh in the east. There are scheduled tribes or tribal people, tribal regions everywhere. And if they want to be in the forest, if they don't want to cut the forest, they should have it. 1. Second, by increasing the forest cover, green cover, you are also reducing or lessening the man-animal conflict. How many deaths have happened last year with due to elephant stamping? Does anyone know? Sorry? 700. I think it is more in the newspaper where I said that it was somewhere close to more than 1,000 or something. I am not sure. But you can reduce the man-animal conflict. Let's take elephant. Do you know there is something called elephant corridor? What exactly elephant corridor is? Right from Bengal till Kanyakumari, if an elephant has to reach, it could reach using the green cover. Now with the development, what has happened? We have cut across that green cover, that pathway, and the elephants normally have to cross the road or they come in contact with the human habitation. Either the elephants die because of collision with the train or trucks or something. Many train accidents you have seen because of the elephants. So many elephants have died. Elephant babies were killed in that. And also people also were killed because they came in front of it, or they were angry, or they were scared or something. So in both, it is our duty to conserve not only the animals, but also we have to make sure that the people are safe. So that is the kind of wildlife thing. Law and order. Anyone know about Chipko movement or our own Apiko movement? That is a law and order thing. Nobody will let you cut, but you can actually plant. Science and technology. Majority of our inventions or innovations or the drugs that we use, right from penicillin to even our tablet that we take for headache, they are derived from either a plant or an animal product. They are a derivative. So this is called as biological significance. Biological significance of trees, or ecosystem, bioeconomy, sorry. So the bioeconomy actually increases with the increase in the green cover. Okay, all the major medicines, the plants, the nature has cure for everything. It has a cure for everything. We just have to look into it. Using science and technology, we have to do the analysis or the research and then development, and then come up with a vaccine for everything. You name any major vaccine, it has its roots back to the green cover, that is the forest, or the animals living it, or the microbes living in it. So basically the ecosystem. Then comes for the movement. Of course, you can talk about major movements. Then preamble. Okay, there is justice. When you say justice, having a green cover or quality of life is a part of justice. So my dear friends, this is what I wanted to tell. This is just a basic one on this, which you have to build on in your answer writing. So I would say this: you have taken a very good step with respect to political science, a very good topic. All these subjects or the topics or the sectors that you read are quite interesting. Please don't lose hope, even if you can't clear in the first attempt. I really hope all of you clear in the first attempt and do good for the country and for the state in whichever you are coming. So before ending this, any question on this? Anything else you want to add or ask? Fine, thank you. So before ending this, I also wanted to talk a bit about what exactly we do as civil servants, or civil services aspirants after getting cleared. So I'm an IAS officer as of now. I worked in Shimoga, that is as AC, Assistant Commissioner, Sagar Division of Shimoga. Then I moved to Kolar, where I was the CEO, Chief Executive Officer, Jilla Panchayat. Then again I worked in Belagavi for 2.5 years or more as CEO, Jilla Panchayat. Then I was in Tumkur as Corporation Commissioner. Now I am the Director of the Department of Electronics, IT and BT. So there are so many things that you can do once you get into any kind of service, not only just IAS, I'm talking about all service, but I'll stick to IAS because that is the part of my job. In Kolar, which is there is a lot of, if any one of you have come from Kolar, water is an issue. You have to dig close to 2,000 feet to get bore water from there, to reach to underground water. So Government of Karnataka came up with a very nice scheme where the treated water of Bangalore would be diverted to Kolar, and the lakes of Kolar would be filled. It was a very contentious issue. Many of them were asking like why treated water was given, but whatever it is there, for the good of the people, the lakes were filled. There were 212 lakes in Kolar which had not seen water for a long time, and slowly and steadily over the period of time, close to 188 lakes were filled. And it increases the underground water table, and overall people started growing more and more crop, and their consumption of water, they didn't have to go on a far away places to get it. There is something called Jal Jeevan Mission, my friends, which Government of India along with Government of Karnataka, all the states in Government of Karnataka which is there. I'll give you one example. When I was working in Belagavi, I was a CEO Jilla Panchayat of that district, and we look after the rural development, especially the water and other basic amenities that is there. So there was one village in Ramdurga Taluka of Belagavi, which is a very backward district still. Women, there used to be push carts where you keep 8 to 10 vessels to collect water. Women had to get up at 6 in the morning, go to a nearby lake or pipeline or where it was given there. They had to fill the water. They have to stand in line, fill the water depending on the availability of water, and then again come back. They had to come back by the time their children or their or her husband or her parents or in-laws would wake up, start cooking with that water, and by the time she start cooking, all the water that she had collected would again be exhausted. Again in the afternoon she had to go, and she had to walk like a kilometer or so every day, twice or thrice depending on the kind of activities that was there. So what this Jal Jeevan Mission did for these women is, this brought the water right in front of their houses. So the women don't have to wake up early, 3:34 to go get the water. The wastage that they used to have in terms of time and energy has lessened, so that they can use that time for the more productive activities like taking care of children or working in the sense. Many of the times rural women don't go for work or manual labor, I would say, because there is no water and they have to go and fetch the water. So this will also add to the income. So when I went there, we realized, okay, this is the place where the water has to be there. And thanks to all my officers there, we could get water to that village within a month. And people over there still sometimes call me thanking us, like all of us, for doing such noble work there, so that the women in their village can actually have some productive time. That is one. Second, with respect to water table, in Belgaum, we constructed in a span of 2.5 years, close to 242 new tanks with the help of under Narega scheme and with government of Karnataka's contribution. We constructed 242 new tanks. And this was such a big impact on that, because it not only, Belgaum is a flood affected region. There is 7 major rivers and a lot of other rivers, and it rains a lot. So it is a flood affected region. So these tanks not only prevented the flood, it also formed a drinking source, not only for the people during summers, but also the wild animals and the other domesticated animals. That is the thing. The last one, I would finish it by saying that, there are small things which we end up doing. Giving a pension to a lady. When I was in Sagar, I had met a lady who was close to 85 years old at that time, and she was moving from pillar to pillar for the pension. The only thing that was there was, after she gave the living certificate, which every person should give every year, there was a mistake in her name. I'm not sure what was there, some Vattakshara was missing. So to do that, we were not able to do it. She was not able to get it. When I went there, I asked, why, what is the reason? She said, she has been roaming for almost 4-5 months now to get her name corrected. And then I had to talk to that officer who was there. I stood there, I got it corrected, and within the next 1 week, she got her pension. So these are the small things that you end up doing. You end up having a part in it. When you see their smile in the faces of these people, that is something that is worth living for. Okay, so please have this motivation within you throughout your career. If you get into it, if you do not get into it, unluckily or sadly, don't worry about it. The kind of motivation that you take from here by studying UPSC or KPSC, please apply it in your other endeavors also. I'm sure you'll have a good work-life balance and you'll excel well in your life. Okay. So thank you very much. Thank you and all the best. And thank Nikhil again for inviting me here. It's always a pleasure to come and talk to you guys, which I keep doing every time. So whenever anything is there, so I would say you're in safe hands. Nikhil is someone who has taught a lot of people since 2014. So it's close to 10 years now which is there. So I'm one of the benefactor of that. And I wish all of you good luck in your future. Thank you. Thank you.
So I think he gave a good idea about how to approach. So here we didn't keep the session of explaining the syllabus. The reason being that syllabus is already there on the website. So we again coming repeating, globalization is there in the syllabus. What is globalization? The idea what he gave is that it's not about, like for example, he spoke about, let us take economics, environment, uh, polity. So all behind, and recently also he spoke about like he helped a woman getting pension. So basically, what he represents, he's representing what? Hmm? He's a representative of whom? It is the government. It is the state. So political science is nothing about the study of the state. So when we say political science is everywhere, for example, political science is also there in your, there is a feminist saying that personal is political. Because end of the day, politics is all about power. So basically in personal life also there is power operation. For example, a husband might exercise power over the wife. The father might exercise power over the, what you can say, son or the children. Or an upper caste might exercise power over the lower caste. So why he gave different dimensions is that when initially, I think when he took political science, I think he was just like newbie. I had already written 2 attempts. So once he wrote an answer. Some question was, I still remember something, democracy in India is not new or something, it was there. What will happen many times when you go too theoretical? Right. So I had only read like Shubhra ma'am notes, and I was only thinking which thinker I'll add. So this fellow had written an answer saying that Cholas had democracy, Vedic period had democracy. Then I told my friend Anmant Raju, you yeneno baritanar, because my understanding that time was bookish. Yeah, I mean, bookish people won't score marks. Why? Because they're not widening their thinking ability. And that's why I told, when you see in syllabus, whether it is small or it is big, it is unnecessary. It's about how we are able to connect different ideas. And that is why he spoke about this dimension thing, and this dimension things always work. So basically, next year when I wrote the same dimension, my political science score almost increased by 100 marks. So coaching is not about going through what is there in the syllabus, trying to convince you, saying that this is very easy subject you take. It is end of the day an individual's ability and individual's knowledge. But what can a subject can be taken when we say you are going to study political science is everywhere. For example, when you speak about environment, the state bringing environmental laws, it is nothing but dealing with the state. Or when the state is trying to do welfare measures. For example, now we spoke about providing drinking water facilities. It is welfare function. The state is working in the favor of solving people's problem. For example, you can say when state brings laws, maternity benefit bill. Again, the state working in the interest of the women. So in political science, you'll read about different ideas. So what are the different types of states? You have capitalist state, you have socialist state. India is more of a welfare state. It is also given in the preamble itself. That's why I told, see, when you know this dimension, automatically that will come to your mind. It's that not that everybody don't know everything, everybody will know everything. But the problem is that when you see the question, that should come to your mind. And that is when you keep looking at these dimensions, when you look at a particular issue, these dimensions will come to you. For example, Indian preamble says India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So socialism means what? India is a welfare state. And that is why we say exam ranks are not produced only by reading textbooks in that regard. It is also produced by thinking. You have to do a lot of brainstorming. And why he was able to score 281 within a span of 3.5 months? Because the application was very good. It's not just theory. You can read a theory and go write the theory, but your scores won't increase in that regard. And that's why some people have concern is that it is dynamic. Everything is dynamic in the thing. In UPSC, if you tell I'm going to write the exam, but I'm going to write only static thing, you are outdated. There's nothing called as dynamic or static. It's more about interest. Are you interested in that? Are you able to mold your answers according to it? So that's why I told political science is a subject you can connect to many different things. Essay, ethics, economics. Right, land reforms is nothing, again comes under political science. Green revolution again comes under political science. But we are more interested here with respect to politics part of green, because everybody sees green revolution only in what way, as he told. You might only look at environmental angle. Think at green revolution from legislative point of view. State brought it, green revolution. Thinking from administrative point of view. Bureaucrats played a key role in ensuring these seats and MSPs announced. And think from a political point of view. A new group of people arose because of green revolution. The OBCs. If you see the timing of green revolution and the rise of OBCs in India, it overlaps. And these are called as bullock cart capitalists. Okay, there are something called as tractor capitalists. Tractor capitalists are those who are rich farmers. Bullock cart capitalists are those who are getting this middle in between, who are their OBCs. And then you look at from gender point of view with respect to green revolution in that regard. Green revolution had a lot of impact on what? It impacted the environment. As you told, now women had to travel long distances, or many women developed cancer. In Punjab, you can say there is something called as cancer train only. And you take look at youth. Obviously, it created employment for some, but because of mechanization, it also led to loss of jobs, and this led to conflict. Khalistan movement, what is there? That also has connection with green revolution. So when you read green revolution, you only look from an environmental point of view, but you are not looking at these many perspectives. Industry, now many companies entered Indian market because they have to sell the seeds now. Foreign companies entered the market. Then you look at thinkers. You have Vandana Shiva, who says that green revolution, she is highly critical of green revolution. She said green revolution destroyed the backbone of Indian farmers. It gave food security, but it had an environmental impact. It made farmers dependent on multinational companies. It only favored the rich farmers, not the poorer farmers. So that's why I told, when you employ this, it will work everywhere. But the only thing is that you have to know how to use it. As you told, all dimensions might not be applicable in, like you take IR. Okay, green revolution, what point you can produce? Till green revolution, India was seen by the world as a begging bowl country. Means we could not give our people food security. But after green revolution, India was able to, not only provide food security, we became exporter of food grains. It enhanced India's global image. And when you speak about Vishwa Guru, obviously you have to have capacity also to look after your people. You can't be a Vishwa Guru without keeping your home safe. So that's why I told, this is one thing you can say. When we studied, he especially emphasized on this part. It clicked. Amen. And that's why I told, coaching is not only that what you learn in a class. Many times you will also have to work towards various dimensions, and this will click in everything, every option. That's what I told. IR, many people are scared of IR. Why? Because IR is too dynamic. There's nothing dynamic in IR. They are not asking in IR where Prime Minister Modi will go every country. They'll only ask broader things. Okay, now India's policies with Israel has seen a change. Again, if you employ the same dimensions, you can get why it has changed. Political, technological reason, defense reasons. There is change in government in India. Since 2014, we have the rise of BJP in India. And the ideological roots of the BJP has more, what you can say, similarities with the Zionist parties in Israel. And that is why you can say the Indian government dehyphenated the policies between Israel and Palestine. So obviously in IR you have to learn certain basic terminologies. And once you read that, then it becomes much easier to understand what are the bilateral relations. And if you see, questions are also repeated. It's not that they're asking very new questions. Like India's NPT nuclear policy, consistently asked. The only difference is that how you write an answer effectively. So that is what he said. It's not about which book you read. It's about how you effectively write. That makes you stand out. And that's why I told, he's a very good example of those people. Like seriously, when he took political science initially, I doubted, whether it is possible for him to do within 3 months. No, and it's not only clearing the exam, clearing with a top rank. So it is definitely possible, but provided you have the right direction. So that's why I told, for rest of the syllabus orientation, that's what. Part A is Western political thought, Indian political. Part B is completely, as he said, Indian constitution, statutory bodies, etc. Paper 2, if you take, there are 2 parts. Part B is Indian foreign policy, India's relations with US, China, Japan, Israel, Afghanistan. They won't ask individual African countries and all. They'll holistically ask India, Africa, India, West Asia. And part A, you have comparative politics. Comparative politics, we have to make a comparison between how political system works in India, how it works in Europe. Currently now American elections are going on. There might be a question, compare and contrast Indian elections with the American elections. Similarly, they are going to ask questions on globalization, international institutions, not all, IMF, World Bank, UN, WTO, International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court. These are the things that will be asked in the exam. Okay, and if you are able to employ these things, it's very easy to write very dynamic answers. And you can see the scoring also in PSIR has been on the upward trend. Because see, I think in 2015 he wrote 281. Even now there are many people who are scoring 290 to 300. Everyone. But again, as I said, scoring is not depending upon he scored 281, so you will also score 281. Provided you are able to bring his thinking, you will be able to score well. Understood? So the classes will be starting on August 29th. Okay, so you can attend 2 or 3 demo classes to get an idea at least what is there in this subject, and then you can take a final call. And any other doubt you have, my Telegram ID is there. You can message, and we'll also have him come in other sessions in between when we complete one part of the syllabus, so that he can give an orientation regarding how to approach this part. Any other doubt you have specifically regarding the optional before we wind up the session? Okay. So then, thanks Darshan once again from Insights IS for his time, and I hope this session helped you to not only from PSIR point of view, also from how to approach the examination. All the best.